Hello dear students, welcome to the second and last session of our topic Morphology and Anatomy of Cockroach part 2 for class 11th. I, Rikisha Bhaumik, PGT Biology at Kendriya Vidyalaya Sector 2 RK Puram, New Delhi is assisting you in understanding this topic in a comprehensive manner. Till now we have covered a lot in this topic. Let us have a quick recap for it. In the last session, we learnt about the general features of a cockroach. We learnt about the shape, size, its habit. Then we did the classification of Periplanata americana. We know that there are about 2600 species of cockroach. Among them, the most commonly found in India is the Periplanata americana, which is commonly known as American cockroach or ship cockroach. We saw the classification that it belongs to phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta, order Orthoptera, genus Periplanata and species Americana. You need to remember the classification whenever you are studying a particular organism. Then we studied about the body parts. It can be divided into three: head, thorax and abdomen. We learned about the mouth parts of cockroach. We learned that there are 5 basic mouth parts in a cockroach: the labium, labrum, a pair of mandibles, a pair of maxilla and a tongue-like structure which is known as hypopharynx. These mouth parts enable the cockroach in biting and chewing type of digestion. We have learnt about the structure of legs. We have seen that there are 3 pair of legs, each arising from one of the segments of the thorax: prothoracic, mesothoracic and metathoracic legs, and the legs comprise of again 4 parts or 4 segments. The wings are 2, there are 2 pair of wings. The first one is also known as tegmina and it arises from the mesothorax, and the other one arises from the metathorax. The metathoracic wing is the one which helps the cockroach in flying. Wings are seen in adult cockroaches. We have also learnt about the alimentary canal of cockroach, where we divided the entire alimentary canal into 3 parts: the foregut, midgut and the hindgut. The foregut comprises of the buccal cavity, a short pharynx, a short esophagus followed by a crop and gizzard. Then we saw that there are hepatic caecae which helps in the digestion of the food, and then the midgut is lined on the other side with Malpighian tubules. These Malpighian tubules help in excretion of the nitrogenous waste product. And finally, the hindgut, which is divided into ileum, colon, rectus, which ends into the anus. We also learnt about the blood vascular system of cockroach. We saw that in cockroach open circulatory system is present and the heart has 13 chambers. The contraction and relaxation of these chambers are enabled by the alari muscles. In this session, we will study more about the morphology and anatomy of cockroach. The topics which we will cover today are respiratory system of cockroach, excretory system of cockroach, nervous system, the male reproductive system, female reproductive system, life cycle of cockroach, and we will see its utility if any, the economic importance aspect. So, let us begin with first the respiratory system. As you can see in this picture, the picture is showing you a network of tube-like structure, and this tube-like structure are known as trachea, and these trachea open into small tiny openings or holes which are known as spiracles. Let us learn more about them. The respiratory system is well developed in a cockroach and it has an elaborate system. It consists of a system of air tubes known as trachea. The air enters into and escapes from the trachea through tiny holes called spiracles. So, these are the tube-like network structure which are known as trachea, and they have tiny holes known as spiracles. The air enters as well as escape from these tiny holes or the spiracles. There are 10 pair of spiracles, 2 of which are in thorax region, which are known as thoracic spiracles, and the rest of them, the 8 in number, are the abdominal spiracles. So, there are total 10 pair of spiracles in the body of a cockroach or in the respiratory system of a cockroach, 2 in the thorax region and 8 in the abdominal region. Accordingly, they are named as thoracic spiracles and abdominal spiracles. Now, the opening of these spiracles is regulated by a set of muscles which are known as sphincter muscles. These sphincter muscles have the ability to contract and relax, and they regulate the opening and closing of spiracles as and when needed. Inspiration and expiration, the inhaling of air and taking out of the air, inspiration and expiration, both of them takes place through these tiny spiracles. The first thoracic and the first abdominal spiracle, they remain open all the time, but the rest of them, the second thoracic, last 7 abdominal spiracles, they open during inspiration and they close during expiration. So, this point you need to remember, that the first and the first abdominal spiracle, they remain open, and the second thoracic and last 7 abdominal spiracles, they will open during the process of inspiration, but they will get closed during the process of expiration. Now, what is the mechanism? You need to remember here that the air enters during inspiration and they comes to the trachea. Trachea is the network of tube like structure. They will further divide into finer tracheoles, and these finer tracheoles, they lead into the fluid of the cavity, where the oxygen gets dissolved and then reaches to all the parts of the body or reaches to the tissues. What about expiration? In expiration, we know when the oxygen has been provided to all the parts, then it will be utilized, the metabolic process will take place, which will lead to release and formation of carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide needs to be removed out of the body. This will happen in expiration. In expiration, some of the carbon dioxide may pass out through these spiracles, but the major part of it will diffuse through the cuticle. So, this was all about the respiratory system. You need to remember that the respiratory system is elaborate in the case of cockroach. It has a network of tube like structure which are known as trachea. They will further convert into finer tracheoles into the body parts or the tissues. And there are spiracles which are the tiny holes. In the thorax region there are 2 spiracles, in the abdomen region there are 8 spiracles, altogether forming the 10 spiracles. The inspiration and expiration, air move into it and escape out of the spiracles. And when we are learning about the mechanism, we need to remember that when the air is inhaled in, the air will go into the trachea, then into the tissues, into the body parts, and at the time of expiration the carbon dioxide will either come out of these spiracles or through the cuticle. Next, moving on to the excretory system. The excretory system, we have also mentioned about the excretory feature of cockroach when we were studying about the alimentary canal of cockroach. We saw that at the junction of the midgut and the hindgut, there are yellow tube like bodies which are known as Malpighian tubules. These are the main excretory organs of cockroach. So, if you remember, this is the, if we magnify the parts, this is the midgut and this is the hindgut, which is like the intestine, large intestine part of our converted into ileum, colon, rectum and anus, and these are the tube like structure, these are the Malpighian tubules. So, what occurs in them? The Malpighian tubules, they will collect the nitrogenous waste water and they will convert it into a product which can be easily excreted out, and that product is uric acid. So, the nitrogenous waste and water, they enter into these Malpighian tubule where it is metabolized into uric acid and then it is sent into the hindgut for excretion through the anus. Additionally, apart from the Malpighian tubules, there are fat bodies, nephrocytes, cuticle and uricose glands which also help in excretion in the body of cockroaches. Cockroaches are called uricotelic, I told you, because the conversion of nitrogenous waste is being done into uric acid. If you recall, we know that the organisms can be divided on the basis of the nitrogenous waste they produce. If the nitrogenous waste is produced in the form of ammonia, they are referred to as ammonotelic. If it is excreted out in the form of uric acid, they are known as uricotelic, and if the nitrogenous waste is excreted out in the form of urea, they are known as ureotelic. The fishes are ammonotelic because ammonia is highly poisonous, but it is soluble in water. The reptiles, insects, some of the insects and birds, they are uricotelic, and mammals are usually ureotelic, for example humans. So, what about cockroach? Cockroach is a uricotelic organism because the excretory product is uric acid in the case of cockroaches. These malphigian tubules are thin, long, filamentous, yellow colored thread like structure which are present at the junction of midgut and hindgut. Each tubule is lined by glandular and ciliated cells. You know, wherever there is a process of transportation, we know that ciliated columnar cells are present. So is true with the malphigian tubules also. They absorb the nitrogenous waste products and convert them into uric acid, which is excreted out through the hindgut. So this was about the excretory system. I hope it was clear to you. Next, moving on to the nervous system of cockroach. As you can see here in this diagram, you can see a set of ganglions present in the nervous system of cockroach. The nervous system, it comprises of a series of fused segmentally arranged ganglia. What do you mean by a ganglia? Ganglia is actually a cluster of nerve cell. So, the nervous system is not so well developed in cockroaches, but they have ganglia present in them. These are joined by paired longitudinal connectives on the ventral side. They are connectives which join them, paired connectives on the ventral side which join them. 3 ganglia lies in the thorax region. You can see here 1, 2, 3. 3 ganglia lies in the thorax region, the prothoracic ganglion, mesothoracic ganglion and the metathoracic ganglion, and 6 abdominal ganglion are present, right. So, there are 3 ganglia in the thorax and 6 in the abdomen, and the nervous system is spread throughout the body. But what about the brain? Is brain present in the cockroaches? We can say that a rudimentary form of brain is present in the cockroaches, the central nervous system. It consists of the supraesophageal ganglion, or can be called as brain, and subesophageal ganglion. The position is based on the esophagus. The ganglion which is above the esophagus is the supraesophageal ganglion, and the one which is located below the esophagus is the subesophageal ganglion. So, these two form the central nervous system along with a commissure, circumesophageal commissure, which connect them. It comprises the central nervous system. The supraesophageal ganglion, it represents the brain and is concerned chiefly with the sensory functions. From the supraesophageal ganglion arises 2 circumesophageal connectives which encircle around the esophagus and meet below it with the subesophageal ganglion. The supraesophageal, circumesophageal connectives and the subesophageal ganglion, they together constitute the nerve ring. And a double nerve cord arises from the subesophageal ganglion which travel on the ventral side up to the posterior end of the body. The nerve cord has 3 large ganglia in the thorax, as you can see, and we have discussed it earlier that the 3 ganglion which is present in the thorax are the prothoracic ganglion, the mesothoracic ganglion and the metathoracic ganglion. The nerve cord has 6 ganglia in the abdomen which lies in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth and mind you in the 7th segment. Each ganglia of the nerve cord is formed by the fusion of 2 ganglia, except in the 7th segment, which is formed by the fusion of 3 ganglia. So, these particular descriptions you need to remember, the number of ganglia which are present. So, in total we can say that there is supraesophageal ganglion, subesophageal ganglion, which are 2 representing the central nervous system. Then at the thorax there are 3, prothoracic, mesothoracic, metathoracic, and at the abdomen there are 6 abdominal ganglion. Apart from the nervous system of cockroach, we have learned that there are many receptors or sensory receptors present in the cockroach. They have a pair of compound eyes, they have a pair of antenna, maxillary palps, labial palps, which helps in sensing the environment, which helps them in locating the food resources and sensing the environment. They are also part of the nervous system of the cockroach. One surprising fact is that if the head of a cockroach is cut off, it can still live for as long as 1 week. Can you imagine a person whose head is cut off, can he live for 1 week altogether? No, but it is possible and true in the case of cockroaches. How is it so? Let us explore the reasons for it. Number 1, the head, as we have seen, it holds a bit of a nervous system, while the rest is situated along the ventral part of the body. Second, the presence of open circulatory system, because of which their necks may seal off just by clotting when the head is cut off. So, the open circulatory system where there is no transportation of oxygen, as I told you in the earlier session that there is no transportation of oxygen or association of the circulatory system with the respiratory system. So, because of this open circulatory system, even when the necks are cut off, the clotting will take place and the neck will seal off on the cutting of the head. Blood, hemolymph, it has no role in providing oxygen, as I told you, to the body parts or brains to be specific. Moreover, it is poikilothermic, that is it is a cold blooded animal and it requires very less food. For 1 week the food stored inside the crop is sufficient for it to live. So, these are the reason because of which a cockroach's head, if cut off, it can still live for as long as 1 week. Isn't it interesting about this feature about the cockroaches? Now, let us move on to the male reproductive system. So, you can see in this diagram, this is the male reproductive system. Earlier we have discussed the location of the male reproductive system, the parts which are involved. In a cockroach, the male reproductive system consists of a pair of testes, a pair of vas deferens, an ejaculatory duct, utricular gland, phallic gland, the external genitalia. These are the different parts of the male reproductive system of a cockroach. A pair of testes, they lie dorso-ventrally in the 4th and 5th abdominal segment. This is the location of the testes that they lie dorso-ventrally in the 4th and 5th abdominal segments. Next, from each testes, as you can see, this is the pair of testes and from each testes arise a pair of vas deferens. The function of testes is sperm production and the vas deferens, it will carry the sperms along with it. And here you can see the glands, 2 type of glands are present, the utricular gland which is mushroom shaped and a phallic gland is present. Then there is the ejaculatory duct and the genital pouch. So, let us explore more about it. From the ejaculatory duct is an elongated wide median duct which runs backward in the abdomen and opens out by a male gonopore. So, this is the male gonopore ejaculatory duct and here you can see the male gonopore which is situated ventral to the anus. A mushroom shaped or utricular gland, which is a large accessory reproductive gland, is situated at the junction of vas deferens and the ejaculatory duct, as you can see in this diagram. and the location is 6th to 7th abdominal segment. This mushroom shaped utricular gland is located in the 6th to 7th abdominal segments. Then you can see one more gland here, club shaped gland, which is phallic or also known as conglobate gland. It is also known as conglobate gland. It is a long and club shaped accessory gland which narrows posteriorly into a tubular structure and tapers by a separate aperture. This was the male gonopore where the ejaculatory duct opens into, and this one is the separate aperture where the stalk of the conglobate gland or the phallic gland will open into. The external genitalia are represented by the male gonopophysis or phallomere. So, here you can see phallomere. Phallomere actually surrounds the different male gonopores and the apertures which are present. The external genitalia is represented by this phallomere. The phallomeres are chitinous, made up of chitin, asymmetrical structure and present surrounding the male gonopore. The sperms are stored in the seminal vesicle. So, these are the seminal vesicles you can see as a part of this gland. So, the seminal vesicle, they store the sperms and they glue them together in the form of bundles which are known as spermatophores, and these spermatophores are discharged during the process of copulation. So, this is all about the male reproductive system of cockroach. You need to remember the organs, their position, a pair of testes, a pair of vas deferens, then moving into the ejaculatory duct opening into the male gonopore which is surrounded by the phallomere which is the external genitalia. The phallic gland or the conglobate gland also open into another aperture and their secretion further helps in the movement of the sperm. And the seminal vesicle, they store the sperm with their secretion, they make them glue together and in the form of bundles which are known as spermatophores, and they will be discharged during the process of copulation. Next, moving on to the female reproductive system. Here you can see the picture of female reproductive system. Again, female reproductive system is also very easy to remember. You can see, you can trace what all organs are present in it. By looking at the diagram, you can see a pair of ovary, a pair of oviduct and then a common duct which is known as vagina. Then again there is the female gonopore, then there is spermatheca, a structure known as spermatheca, collateral glands and the genital pouch which has been divided into genital chamber and vestibulum. So, by looking at diagram you can get the idea of what all organs are present. So, a diagram is very important and you need to remember as well as you need to practice them in order to make proper diagrams which should include all the important features of a particular system. So, what does a female reproductive system comprise of? It comprises of a pair of ovaries, vagina which is the common oviduct, genital pouch, collateral glands, spermathecae and external genitalia. So, these are the different parts of the female reproductive system of a cockroach. There are two large light yellow colored ovaries, as you can see here. These are large and light yellow in color and located laterally in the 4th, 5th and 6th segment. 4th, 5th and 6th segment. They are located in the 4th, 5th and 6th segment. Each ovary is actually formed by a group of 8 ovarian tubules or ovarioles containing a chain of developing ova. Here you can see this is a tubule like structure. These are known as ovarian tubules. These are 8 in numbers, although I have shown less, but there are total 8 in number and they contain a chain of developing ova in them. The stalk of all the 8 ovarioles, they will join together to form one oviduct of one side. Similarly, of this ovary also, the stalk of the ovarioles, they will join together to form the oviduct of this side and ultimately they will come together to form a common oviduct which is known as vagina. The stalk of all 8 ovarioles on one side, they join to form an oviduct. Both the lateral oviduct unite to form a broad median common oviduct, and this is known as vagina. Next, the vagina, this opens into, as you can see here, an aperture like structure which is known as the female gonopore, and ultimately it ends into the genital chamber. The genital pouch is a large boat shaped structure, and its floor is formed by the 7th sternite. The roof and the sides are formed by the 8th and 9th sternites. The genital pouch can be divided into two chambers, a genital chamber and the other is the vestibulum. The vagina opens and an oothecal chamber, it is also known as oothecal chamber, where the ootheca will be formed. So, the genital chamber is the one into which the the gonopore opens, the female gonopore opens into the genital chamber, and the vestibulum is the part where the ootheca will be formed. It is also known as oothecal chamber. There is a pair of white much branched collateral gland. Here you can see stalk like tubular and branched structure which is known as collateral gland. These serve as the accessory reproductive glands. What function do they perform? Let us see. We will see it in further slides. First of all, we should know that there is a pair of club shaped unequal sized. Here you can see this orange colored structure which you can spot here is the spermatheca. It is a club shaped pair but unequal sized in the 6th segment. What is the function of a spermatheca? These spermatheca, they will unite and form a short common duct and open into the genital chamber. And this external genitalia is concealed in a chamber which is known as gynatrium, and they consist of an ovipositor. Here is the ovipositor which will help in laying of the ova. Ovipositor is a tube like structure which helps in laying of the ova, but in this case we will see that an ootheca structure is released which is known as ootheca. The function of spermatheca is to store the sperms which has been received during the process of copulation. The ovipositor is used only to conduct the fertilized eggs. So, the fertilization can occur, the sperm when meets with the ova, then it can be fertilized and only the fertilized eggs will lead to the oothecal chamber with the help of the ovipositor. So, we are saying that instead of egg, ootheca is formed in the case of female cockroaches. The eggs are released alternately from the two ovaries into a common oviduct. It passes through the female gonopore into the genital chamber. This is the female gonopore. It will enter into the genital chamber, and where they are fertilized by the sperms which are coming from the spermatheca. So, these spermatheca is used for temporarily storing the sperms which have been received by the process of copulation. The two collateral glands, they pour their secretions on the fertilized. So, the secretion is coming out of the collateral glands, and the fertilized eggs, the secretion add upon on them, and what happen? Because of these secretion, they combine to form a scleroprotein and hardens to form a dark brown ootheca. So, these secretions are important for the fertilized ovum to get together and then form a coating of scleroprotein over them which hardens and leads to the formation of a dark brown ootheca. Ootheca is a dark reddish to blackish brown capsule which is about 8 millimeter long. Here you can see ootheca, and these ootheca are dropped or glued to a suitable surface, usually in a crack or crevice of high relative humidity near a food source. I told you that cockroaches show a great parenting capacity, and because of which they will drop this ootheca into a place which is suitable for the eggs to hatch out, and they also have abundant food source nearby. On an average, females produce 9 to 10 ootheca, and each contains about 14 to 16 eggs. So, what is ootheca? Ootheca is actually a structure which is comprising of eggs. One ootheca may contain up to 14 to 16 eggs, and on an average a female will produce about 9 to 10 ootheca, which is dropped into a suitable surface where there is abundant supply of the food for the young ones. When they hatch, they get a suitable environment plus food supply. And this embryonic development, this takes about 5 to 13 weeks. You can see that when this breaks, this ruptures, and the ova from the fertilized egg, the young ones which come out, they are translucent or white in color. They do not have yet have the layer of exoskeleton over them or the chitin over them, and this process takes few hours. After few hours, the exoskeleton will be formed, but initially they are translucent or white in color. After the embryonic development is complete, this ootheca will rupture and the young one hatches out. So, you can see these are the different stages. The ootheca, which comprises of 14 to 16 eggs. From each egg a young one will come out, a young cockroach will come out, and later it will turn into a nymph when the exoskeleton or the layer of cuticle gets deposited over it. Now, let us try to see the life cycle of a cockroach. The development of Periplanata amarigana is pora metabolus. What do you mean by pora metabolus? It is a specific type of transformation or metamorphosis where there is a development through the nymphal stage. We do not have larval stage, we have a nymphal stage, and these nymphs resemble or they are exactly like the adults, except that they are smaller in size, pale in color, and they are devoid of wings. As it feeds, it grows, the outer exoskeleton is cast off. This process of casting off of the exoskeleton or shedding of the exoskeleton is known as molting or ecdysis. Ecdysis is controlled by the hormonal activities and the hormone which is responsible for it is ecdysone. This process of molting occurs about 13 times to reach the adult form. The nymphs will undergo about 13 such moltings. They will at the end of each molting, they will increase in size. They will shed off the exoskeleton, they will increase in size, and then they will acquire a new exoskeleton. This occurs about 13 times, usually in the in Periplanata amarigana. So, here you can see that an adult female cockroach, it lays eggs in the ootheca. These are laid in dark, warm, humid places, and there should be abundant food supply also. These eggs, these are protected in the ootheca. It will take 6 to 7 weeks for it to hatch, and once it hatch, the nymphs will come out, which are initially translucent or white in color, but gradually after several hours they will acquire the chitin and they will turn into the nymphs, which are pale brown in color usually. Now, these nymphs, they molt 13 times to acquire the size of an adult cockroach. This process will take again 9 to 13 months and it will convert into a adult cockroach. Adult cockroach shows all the feature: a pair of compound eyes, a pair of antenna, 3 pair of legs for cursorial habit, fast running, 2 pair of wings, tegumena, and the flight wing. So, the life cycle of cockroach comprises of basically 3 stages: the eggs in the ootheca, the nymphal stage, and the adult cockroach. So, we are now coming towards the end of this session, and we will now explore the economic importance of cockroaches. Do you think they are of any significance to us? Have you heard that cockroaches are useful to us? No, we haven't heard, because many of the species are wild. They may help in decomposition, but they are of no economic importance to us specifically. A few species, they thrive in and around the human habitat. We know that it is found everywhere. It can be found everywhere, in the kitchens, in the garbage, in the sewage, and in the canteens. Wherever there is food or there is rotten food, they will be present. They are serious pests because they destroy the food and they contaminate it with their excreta. And when they do so, they can transmit a variety of bacterial diseases by contaminating the food material. They may cause food poisoning. When the dead remains of a cockroach and their excrements, they are sent off into the air, the polluted dander is distributed throughout the household, and this may result in allergies, and this may convert into severe states in those people who are very sensitive. So, we have come to the end of this chapter. Let us summarize what we have learned today. In this session, we have learnt about the respiratory system of cockroach. We saw that there is a tube like network of trachea which further converts into finer tracheoles, and the opening in the presence of in the form of tiny holes known as spiracles, which help in inhalation and exhalation. Then we have learnt about the excretory system of cockroach. It is very simple, and the main organ is the Malpighian tubule, which convert the nitrogenous waste into uric acid. So, they are also known as uricotelic organism, and then this uric acid is excreted out through the anus. We have learnt about the nervous system of cockroach. We saw that the nervous system has a sequence of segmented ganglion, and these ganglions are 2 in the thorax and 6 in the abdomen. Then we have learnt about the male reproductive system, and we have learnt about the female reproductive system, and we have learnt about the various parts which are present in males and which are present in females. And we have also tried to learn about the process of the formation of ootheca, and we have seen the life cycle of cockroach. We have also discussed upon the economic importance of cockroaches. Now, it is time to evaluate. Since this topic is in your syllabus, and among all the animals which are mentioned in the book, this one specifically is in the syllabus. That means it is a part of your exams as well as competitive exams. So, let us try to answer some of the questions which have come in various competitive exams. Question number 1. Which of the following statement is true for cockroach? A. The number of ovarioles in each ovary are 10. The larval stage is called caterpillar. C. Anal styles are absent in females. D. They are ureotelic. So, which one is the correct answer? If we look at the first option, the number of ovarioles in each ovary are not 10 but 8. Larval stage is called nymphal stage, not caterpillar. Anal styles are absent in females. We have looked at the sexual dimorphism, we have looked at the differences between them, and this is one of the prominent difference, that the anal styles are absent in females, they are present in the males, although anal cerci, which is present in the 10th segment, is present in both of them. And yes, they are ureotelic, as we have seen in this session. So, which one of the statement is true for cockroach? The D option is ureotelic, but the correct answer is uricotelic. So, A, B and D are false. You have to read the question carefully, and the C one is only true. So, our answer will be C. Anal styles are absent in females. Next question. Match the following with reference to cockroaches. So, the column A is giving phallomere, gonopores, spermatophore, ovarioles, and column B is giving chain of developing ova, bundles of sperm, opening of the ejaculatory duct and the external genitalia. Try solving this. Now, let us see the answer. The A part, phallomere, is the external genitalia, gonopore is the opening of the ejaculatory duct, spermatophore is the bundle of sperm, and ovarioles are the chain of developing ova, and these all terms are with respect to the reproductive system in male and female cockroaches, as we have discussed. Next, mouth parts of a cockroach are chewing and biting type, piercing and sucking type, chewing and sucking type, licking and chewing type. What will be the correct answer? Yes, it is A, chewing and biting type. Cockroaches are nocturnal, they are omnivorous, they have mandibles for chewing and biting. So, the correct option is A, chewing and biting type. Next question. The number of spiracles on the abdomen of cockroach is 10 pairs, 8 pairs, 6 pairs, 2 pairs. So, how many number of spiracles are there in the abdomen of cockroach? It is B, 8 pairs. Next question. In cockroach, no blood is present. What does it means? A, diffusion of gases takes place through integument. B, for exchange of gases, cell to cell capillary network is present. C, cockroach does not need oxygen. Blood carries respiratory gases. We know that blood does not carry respiratory gases. Cockroaches do need oxygen. For exchange of gases, cell to cell capillary network is present, which we have learnt in the respiratory system. They have a network of tube like structure known as trachea, and diffusion of gases, this is wrong. So, the correct option will be B, for exchange of gases, cell to cell capillary network is present. Next question. Changing of a small cockroach into adults is known as A, molting, B, metamorphosis, C, ecdysone, and D, transformation. So, here are some similar terminologies. Molting, we have learnt that the small cockroaches, they molt about 13 times to reach the adult stage. Metamorphosis is any transformation from the young stage to the adult stage, but it is parametabolous in the case of cockroaches. Parametabolous is signified by the presence of a nymphal stage. Ecdysone is the hormone which is responsible for molting, and transformation is a general term. So, the correct answer here will be A, molting. Next question. Alary muscles of cockroach are responsible for A, contraction of diaphragm, contraction of heart, relaxation of heart, flying. The answer is, it is responsible for the contraction of heart. We have learned that there are 12 pairs of alary muscles which is present along with the 13 chamber of the heart, and it helps in the contraction of the heart. Next question. Wings of cockroach are prothoracic and mesothoracic, mesothoracic and metathoracic, metathoracic and prothoracic, prothoracic and metathoracic. We have learned that there are 2 pair of wings in cockroach, and first pair arises from the mesothorax and the last pair, the second one, arises from the metathorax. So, the correct option is B, mesothoracic and metathoracic. Next question. In cockroach, which of the following is responsible for sexual attraction? A, hormone ecdysone, B, pheromones, C, juvenile hormone, D, anal cerci. We have learned that hormone ecdysone is responsible for molting, and pheromones are actually the chemical secretions released by certain organisms, especially insects, in order to attract mates. So, the correct answer will be pheromones. Pheromones are responsible for sexual attraction. Next question. In blood of cockroach, red blood corpuscles or hemoglobin are absent because anaerobic respiration takes place, it is an invertebrate, in cockroach blood does not carry respiratory gases, hemocyanin is present. We have learned that in cockroaches blood does not carry respiratory gases since the circulatory system is of open type. So, the correct option is C. In cockroach, blood does not carry respiratory gases. Next question. In cockroach, the metamorphosis is holometabolous, ametabolous, porometabolous, hemimetabolous. This again we have repeated many a times. You must be able to answer it. The correct answer is yes, it is C, porametabolous. Next question. Egg case of cockroach is known as embryophore, ootheca, gonophore, female gamete. The correct answer here will be B, ootheca. We know that ootheca comprises of about 16 to 18 eggs and it acts as an egg case. Next question. Male and female cockroaches can be identified by annelida, arthropoda, antenna, compound eyes. So, what is this question asking? That how they can be identified. They cannot be identified as annelida. They belong to arthropoda. They have antennas, they have compound eyes. But if we want to identify with respect to all the features, then we will write the answer as arthropoda, because it is a typical representative of the class Insecta of the phylum Arthropoda. So, the correct answer here is arthropoda. Next question. Vision of cockroach is monocular, binocular, mosaic, all of the above. Again we learnt about this peculiar characteristics of the compound eye seen in cockroaches, that they are formed of many ommatidia, and these ommatidia, single ommatidia forms individual images. These are combined together and then interpreted in our brain, and this is why this type of vision is known as mosaic vision. So, the correct answer is C, mosaic vision. Next question. The number of chambers in the heart of cockroach are 13, 9, 12, 15. We have learned that there are 13 chambers in the heart of a cockroach. So, this is all about the evaluation. We have discussed many of the questions, many of the common questions which are asked in the examinations. Now, coming to the task I am giving you, so that you reflect on your learning. These are the questions you need to do. Question number 1 is, draw a well labeled diagram of the respiratory system of a cockroach. Now that you know that you have to draw tube like structure showing trachea, you have to show spiracles, and you have to label them, and you have to show the total number of spiracles which are present in the respiratory system, how many in the thorax and how many in the abdominal regions. Next question is, you have to draw a well labeled diagram of the male reproductive system in cockroach and female reproductive system in cockroach. Also bring out differences between a male and a female cockroach. So, I hope you will do these questions. It is often seen that the students, they evade the diagrammatic questions, but diagrams are very easy and they are scoring. Plus the point is that they should be labeled properly and they should explain or express the points which needs to be focused on. So, biology cannot be explained without the help of diagrams, and the student should not evade drawing diagrams, but they should try to practice them. With this, we will end the chapter. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you and have a nice day.